For the time being, let's move on to that promised discussion on, how the market regulator is looking to deal with market rumors. Sebi has floated a new consultation paper on rules pertaining to companies issuing clarification on rumors. Yash has the highlights of this consultation paper. Yash, fill us in.
Well, Surabhi, as the year closes, this is one of the most important consultation paper which market regulator Sebi has released. And trust me, in our interactions with the market regulator, we know that it's taken a lot of back and forth between the industry stakeholders and the regulator to come out with this particular consultation paper, which is on verification of market rumors. Now, Sebi, through this consultation paper, has proposed a change in the basic premise in terms of what should be considered as a market rumor and what requires then a verification from that listed entity. Sebi has said that due to any market rumor, put out by a notable publication, if there is a significant price movement in the stock price of that listed entity, then in that case, it will be considered as a market rumor and it will require a justification or a clarification from the listed entity as far as that particular rumor is concerned. Also, as far as, the onus of clarifying on this particular market rumor, that obligation will be on promoters, directors, KMPs, senior management. They will have to provide three important things: adequate, accurate and timely response as far as this particular market rumor is concerned. Now, let's consider a very important point. What will be the price movement criteria when it comes to considering something as a market rumor? Sebi has not specified a particular number to it, but what it says is that for securities which are in a higher price range, a lower percentage movement will be considered as market rumor. Also, securities which are in a lower price range, a higher percentage of movement will be considered. Also, what would be done is price variation will also be indexed to Nifty 50 or Sensex movement on that particular day. As far as applicability is concerned, it will be applicable on the top 100 listed companies from February 2024 and top 250 listed companies from August 2024. Now, importantly, timeline as mentioned by Sebi's consultation paper, that will be within 24 hours of clarifying by the listed company as far as that particular market rumor is concerned. And these 24 hours will be calculated from the time of the price movement in the stock price of this concerned listed entity. As far as, the time for providing stakeholder views is concerned, that will be till January 18, 2024.
All right. Thank you very much, Yash, for the details there, for summing that up. Let's straight away take it to the experts then. We have Sandeep Parekh from Finsec Law Advisors and Abizer Diwanji from EY India to weigh in on some of these new concepts that the regulator is looking at. Gentlemen, thank you for joining in, and season's greetings to you. First question to both. Sandeep, if I could start with you. Is the approach right that, what is a market rumor? If it's causing a specific amount of a stock price movement, then it's a rumor and a company needs to clarify on that. Do you agree with the approach? You're on mute, Sandeep. Can't hear you.
Yeah, apologies. Hi. So, so I don't agree with the approach at all. And if you look at the original comment, 75% of the people opposed bringing this on, and they quote US regulations, which are in fact, there is an informal process of confidential treatment that they require, which is not mentioned there. So I think this is going to be quite challenging for companies to implement, because imagine you're going through a very preliminary merger talks, and you need to kind of, because of some market rumors, some leakage happens, you'll have to tell the entire market that I'm doing these negotiations. And for a listed company, as you know, price moves every microsecond, and it could lead to a deal collapse, in fact. So I think just from a big picture, I don't think it's a great idea to introduce this. But since it is already here, maybe we can talk about what they're proposing in the concept paper, which is really more to do with what the price range is going to be.
Absolutely, Sandeep. Sandeep, absolutely. We will talk about what the contents of the paper are. But in just a second, let me get Abizer's view on it as well. Let's find out first whether, in principle, if he agrees that we need to look at price moves and then decide whether it's a rumor or not a rumor, and then ask a company to clarify. Abizer?
Yeah, similar views, actually. That first of all, I think as a concept, it's fine, in the sense that, with the kind of social media moves that happen, it's very easy to spread a rumor. And somebody needs to have at least some kind of regulation or guidance as to how to control it. However, what I don't agree with, and I possibly agree with the other co-panelists, is the fact that we're trying to micromanage it is not going to work. And I think that's the larger issue. When you define the price times, when did the rumor originate? When did the rumor end? When did the clarification come? What kind of clarification comes? Because you're not only denying or accepting a rumor, you're even providing a clarification. And most times the clarification will be, we will not comment on market rumors. And that's hardly a clarification. So sometimes one actually wonders what happens. Having been in the M&A practice, sometime one of the confidential rules of the game is that sometimes you manage the press appropriately to make sure that the transaction is duly coming in, either to apply pressure, not necessarily to manipulate price, but to apply pressure on either counterparty to agree. And that does happen as a market tactic. So ideally, what is really market manipulation is very difficult to micromanage. What I would rather say is that, is there regulation required where the regulator can investigate and post an investigation impact somebody? Yes. Can you micromanage? No. Those are my initial comments.
Okay, fair enough. Sandeep, complete the point about what would be an appropriate price movement which constitutes a market rumor. And then just to add to that point that Abizer was saying, that suppose, you were saying that there is a deal which is in the initial stages, preliminary stages. There is, market gets a whiff of it, the stock market reacts, companies are asked to clarify. In that now, with the new regulations, can they respond by saying that we will not comment on market speculation? Does that fly?
No, so I think, first of all, I think we need to divide all rumors, right, into two parts. And only mainstream media is covered, but they've defined mainstream media as very, very broadly, including anybody registered with the registrar of newspapers. And as you know better than me, there's 1.5 lakh papers and magazines which are registered. Even if 1% of them are dealing with business news, that still is 15,000 people, 15,000 publications that you need to track. So I think it's an impossible. You'll probably have to create, companies will have to create entire departments to kind of deal with the volume of, again, it may not affect all companies, but if one rumor floats, there may be like multiple sources of counter rumors, multiple other sets of non-factual information which goes in. And like I said, it's just too ginormous a task for a relatively smaller company. Even if you're going beyond the top 250 companies, it's a huge task to track rumors, address them, and sometimes address them in manners which would be detrimental to your own shareholders.
But gentlemen, your points are well taken. But then just to bat from the other side, I guess no one's doubting the intent. The intent is right. I mean, in this era of news and noise and fake news and rumor and agendas and whatnot, there has to be investor protection. So then what's the way forward? How does one deal with the market rumors?
Can I answer that first? Yeah.
Yes, Sandeep, please.
Let me take that first. Abizer can join after that. So I think the correct format would be to kind of not define media, in a particular fashion. Then you're looking at thousands of sources really, and I think Sebi has rightly excluded social media, which is I think a good construct. I think the correct way to approach it would be to have a confidential treatment which is available, number one, which is what the US does, even though they've not written down anywhere. But you can request the exchange to keep it confidential because it can impact the price and therefore impact the deal, which is likely to take place. And that's number one. And number two, I think, is leave something to principles. If you look at stock prices below 100 to move 5%, and then between 100 and whatever number to move 3%, that's just complete micromanagement. I think there has to be some discretion left to the company. So I think it's best to leave the details to company.
Abizer, comment on this. I mean, and to Sandeep's point, he's saying maybe the company can clarify to the exchanges, but then the exchanges keep that information confidential. But does that then address the end issue? You've got to, quash the rumor, which is out in public domain. So then how does one address it?
So sometimes it does. So the way it has to work, and I agree with Sandeep completely, prescriptiveness is the larger problem. Intent, I think, can be investigated. And that's what I would really go with. Now, one way to demonstrate intent, as Sandeep rightly said, is to tell the exchange tell the regulator and the exchange confidentially that this is the information that I am dealing with, but I don't want it to come within public domain. Now, if it actually does end up in public domain in some form, then the issue is that the company needs to do a clarification. And when the company does come out with a clarification, I think the company should be prompt enough. And what Sebi should monitor is whether companies are prompt enough in giving those clarifications, not with the intent of manipulating price. Because what are we trying to deal with? We're only trying to deal with a potential price manipulation. And ideally, if a correction comes through, then that is good enough. Now, the second issue that Sebi has dealt with, and which is I think a little more difficult to implement, but I think at least the grounding principles are not incorrect, is to say that aberration in price movement should be excluded from any computation of price, either for open offer purposes or others. I think that I would agree with, because people tend to manipulate these informations to actually manipulate the open offer prices or any other kind of preferential allotment prices. I think that is, but again, what we require here is broader guidelines, wherein Sebi would actually then come in and look into specific price manipulation on a case-by-case basis. So the regulation is required. What is not required is the micromanagement. I come back to that again. I think Sandeep would possibly agree with the same.
You know, unfortunately, gentlemen, we're out of time, but the point is very well taken. Thank you very much for weighing on this consultation paper by Sebi. But